recently, Tucker Carlson made some headline news after he decided to go after Chris Hayes and argue that he's not manly enough. But in the same rant, he actually focused on attacking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because, according to him, she has the audacity to talk to him about morality. Take a look.
The good news is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has the cure for human extinction. All we have to do is obey her and be very, very good people.
In my framework, in my belief, that we not just have a wealthy society, but that we have a moral society.
What? Wait a second, you may be wondering. How does a member of Congress who hasn't yet turned 30, someone who's never even raised children, get the right to lecture me about morality? Well, that's the difference between you and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is a highly decent person.
Well, that last part was actually true.
The last part was true, but I find it hilarious that Tucker Carlson is offended that someone is talking about morality, right? That someone is talking about morality from her perspective, because if I can recall correctly, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, and the conservatives in America have been preaching about their brand of morality for a very long time now when it comes to reproductive rights, when it comes to who we decide to sleep with, how we decide to sleep with them. I mean, they're very much concerned about our sex lives. And they talk about morality in that context all the time. They jam it down our throats over and over again. And now all of a sudden, Mr. Tucker Carlson, who talks about the importance of the nuclear family, is very offended that someone else has the audacity to talk about morality when it's in the context of our environment and the survival of the human race.
So this is a common talking point that Tucker goes to and a lot of right wing goes to. The left wants you to obey them. No, we want to be left alone, okay? You on the other hand say, I'm gonna tell you what to do with your body, okay? Don't get into that position. Don't sleep with that person. Don't love that person. Hey, you guys, there's a clump of cells inside your body. No, my Bible is gonna tell you what to do about that. Okay, the left wants you to obey. What?
It's amazing.
No, you goddamn hypocrites. You're the ones who are constantly judging us and telling us to obey your so-called morality based on ancient scriptures. Not interested. And he says, how does a member of Congress say that? The entire Republican Party's been running on so-called family values, and now you turn around and say a member of Congress shouldn't talk about morality? I mean, do you even know the irony, or are you stupid?
So let's go to the next clip. He has more.
Listen to her explain how she doesn't resort to ad hominem attacks, unlike her enemies, who, by the way, are xenophobic white supremacists.
We're actually talking about something substantive. We're not calling anyone names. People say Tea Party of the left, and I find this phrase very interesting, this phrasing very interesting, because the grounding of the Tea Party was xenophobia, the underpinnings of white supremacy.
Yeah, stop with the name calling, you racist white supremacist xenophobe. So it's official. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a moron and nasty and more self-righteous than any televangelist who ever preached a sermon on cable access. She's not impressive, she's awful.
So Tucker Carlson resorted to ad hominem attacks. And by the way, during that same town hall discussion, there was a GOP representative there. Representative Inglis was involved. And while he was answering one of the questions, someone in the audience called him a moron. And AOC stopped, pointed that guy out and said, that's unacceptable. We don't do that. Right?
Yeah, she doesn't do that.
Right.
Tucker Carlson's an idiot. Okay, so hey, two can play at that game. And what she was referring to is the Tea Party wasn't about substance, whereas she's talking about policy, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, a lot of substance. You might disagree with it, but that is definitely policy oriented. And in fact, in one of the things that Tucker Carlson went on to agree with. But then you turn around and go, awful moron. Based on what? Nothing, because you disagree with her.
So how did she get so famous? Why do people like her? Well, if we're being honest, we gotta say it's because not everything she says is wrong.
We have runaway income inequality. We are at one of our most unequal points, economically speaking, in American history. We are dealing with a crisis of how our economy is even made up. Our economy is increasingly financialized.
Okay, you hate to admit it, given the source, but try to ignore the way she said it. Maybe just print it out and read it. A lot of it's basically true. Neither party wants to talk about this. The Republicans are in fetal position. They just don't want to be unpopular anymore. They'll do anything not to be unpopular. The Democrats want what they've always wanted, total and complete control over you and this country. Neither party will say that our economy, at its core, is badly distorted. Any economy based on interest payments isn't really an economy, it's a scam. That's why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a constituency. Not because she's impressive, she's not, but because she's one of the very few people who will say the obvious about growing corporate tyranny in this country.
So what happened? I thought you said she was a moron. So can you make up your mind, or are you too stupid to make up your mind?
Jake, she doesn't have kids. She doesn't have kids. Who is she to know anything? She doesn't have kids.
Don't judge. So who is she to decide what your morality should be? Well, I'm going to decide she can't even judge morality because she doesn't have kids. You're not in a moral position to judge anybody if you don't have kids. What? Okay, do you think these things through, Tucker, as you're saying them, or are you just spouting out? And so he talks about corporate tyranny. When we had a discussion at Politicon, that's what we agreed on. That's why I thought it was an interesting conversation. But then he turns around and he can't help himself. He can't stand someone who's actually fighting for progressive positions and does it from a point of strength. So he tries to belittle her and call her names. Well, two can play at that game. She might not do it, but we will. Okay, then you're a moron. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.